This is what I did to improve my failing jazz playing. It's a simple thing. Stop practicing with your ego. Stop practicing for other people and tune into what you like. You know, in music as a musician, you come across different styles. Particularly for me who went to jazz school, I will come across modal jazz, stride piano, bebop, swing. On the other side, you're doing gigs on the side, you come across gospel, pop, and you feel like you have to be good at all of that. I dropped this idea and I focused on honing in what I enjoyed playing. So, there's this thing at music school, especially when you're younger. I know myself, and in my circle, this was definitely a thing, where you kind of practice to be the most burning, or you practice to, be the most burning. And we had this idea of conquering the world. We're young, we want to just be the best in the world. It's like the possibility is limitless. A few years go by and a lot of us settle into teaching jobs. We start families and we start to realize that some of the most important things in life are things like happiness, peace, and enjoyment. Furthermore, when I went to jazz school, and I know this is probably something that has happened to other people, jazz school really sucked the enjoyment of music for me personally, because there was just always this kind of thing where you have to be good, and it is not measured by how good you can get in your playing. It's measured by what you should sound like. And so when you practice like this, you kind of get into this dark, deep pit, mini depression of like, am I practicing the right thing? You always feel like you're sounding bad. You hate your own playing. You feel like you're going nowhere. And at times, it's like you dread to practice. And this is what happens when you're practicing something outside of yourself. So at some point, I started to think about, how do I want to play a jazz standard versus how should a jazz standard be played? For instance, I had a really big attraction, I still do, I have a really big attraction for fourth voicings. I just really love that sound, and I've always known that it's a sound that I want to incorporate in my own playing. Everything that I'm saying today, I'm saying it with the understanding that you are going to be doing your basics, and basics are important to jazz harmony or whatever style. This applies to any style, whatever style of music or musician you are. You always have to get the basics of your instrument and whatever style you're doing. But as to how you progress, it should be a personal thing. So with my attraction to fourth voicings, I would learn a standard in a simple format, and then what I would start to do is I started to listen to players that sort of seemed like were heading in the direction that I was hearing my own personal playing within the style. this approach for me really helped me. And this video is, I know this video is really short. I can't, really explain to you how, when you actually think about growing your own personal voice, how much that can actually help you, and how much of a burden it actually puts off on your shoulders when you start practicing for your own voice. This for me, I kind of did over the past 4 or 5 years, and it's really helped me, because it does not only help me in getting better technically, because once you start to practice the things that you enjoy and the things that you are striving toward, there is more of a drive and a verve for you to want to do those things. And when I started to do that, I wanted to practice, instead of getting in this rut of dreading practice, which I know a lot of people go through. You start to enjoy practice. So once you can start practicing for other people and what you think your audience wants to hear, what you think other musicians think you should sound like, you should start to practice saying your own voice well. I say this to ask the question, do you know what you are practicing toward? Or are you just practicing because you know that at some point you need to sound good? Also, note that whatever direction you go into, not everyone is going to have that taste or care for your music. On this point of practicing for personal voice versus knowing everything, also depends on whether you as a musician want to be an artist or whether you want to be a sessionist. Of course, when you're a sessionist, you probably want to spend time practicing a whole lot of genres if you just want to get called for whatever gig pops up. Versus when you're an artist, you are just practicing the things, practicing your own music, how to say your own voice. But for me, even for the sessionist, you should still have your own unique way of playing. Also note that whatever direction you choose to go in your playing, it's not going to be everyone's taste, and that's okay. But one thing I know for sure is that you will be fulfilled. You'll be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You'll probably be practicing more, meaning you'll build more technique and get better at your instrument, while also building your own voice.